What happens when you totally fall off the podcasting bandwagon, then you pick it back up and then you fall off again, and then summer comes and you always feel like you're behind? In today's episode, I'm going to share with you my 3 ways that I'm prepping my podcast for summer and how I'm making it work smarter for me. Let's get into it. I have been super inconsistent with my podcast. There, I said it, it's done, it's out there. This is a huge pain point for me because as a producer, as someone who took so much value and so much pride of being so consistent with my show, I fell off the bandwagon in the hardest way in the last few months. Not only did I not record any new episodes, I also completely ghosted my audience and pretty much kind of fell off social media as well. And honestly, life was so full. I really don't like to use the word busy, but life was so full. I moved from my home that I've been in for the last almost 4.5, 5 years, moved into a new place, had to put things in storage in between. Like it just felt like there were so many moving pieces, so many moving parts that obviously something had to fall off the bandwagon. That for me, unfortunately, was my podcast. And actually, as a producer, this was kind of probably the worst thing that I could have done. Not only because I value personally being consistent with my show, but it also turned my entire workflow, my entire content strategy, email strategy, everything upside down. So in today's episode, I want to talk a little bit about 3 ways that I'm prepping my podcast for summer and how I'm going to make my show work smarter for me. All right, so the very first thing is reconnecting with the why. I am someone who really values the concept of understanding your why. This came into my awareness years and years and years ago when I first started doing freelance work. I think it was back in 2018 or something like that. And it was Simon Sinek's Start With Why concept. I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm sure you're familiar with it. And if you're not, just Google it. It's a really, really cool concept. And I just feel like this is such an important thing to root back into because every time you root back into your why, you are constantly reconnected and reminded of the bigger purpose, the bigger vision, and the bigger mission. What happens a lot of the time when we get really, really busy is we forget to anchor into the why. We forget why we're creating the podcast. We take a backseat in creating social media content, and not necessarily everybody, but a lot of creators that I talk to do. Naturally, my show took a little bit of a backseat during this busy season, and honestly, that's okay. It is what it is, and it happens. How you show up again for yourself after being derailed is where the magic happens. How you pick yourself back up and restart is the thing that is going to keep you going, and that is the thing that continues to build your own inner strength and your own inner resilience. One thing that was a huge priority for me was getting really, really, really clear on why I started this show in the first place, which is to connect with podcasters, to connect with producers, and to share what actually works and to build something real. To build connection, to build community, and to help people, to educate people, to give people the things that others hold back. There's no gatekeeping on this show. I share everything that I know and that I learn on the podcast. And so a lot of the times people will take a hiatus in the summertime, and there's nothing wrong with that. People will take a back seat when it comes to summertime podcast creation. People will drop down, the frequency of their episodes, which is no problem at all. People will stop producing seasons, which is totally fine. But I wanted to take this summer to reset the vibe of my show, not just the schedule. This show has seen so many different iterations. So one huge focus for me in getting clear about what I want to create and how I want to do it, because things always change. Things evolve, people change, and people evolve. And so I want these episodes to continue to be helpful for you. I want you to continue to learn. So the very first thing that was important to me was reconnecting back in with your why, with my why, and with the why of the podcast. Now, the second thing that I'm going to be doing, and this is something that I haven't always been the best at, admittedly, but it's batch recording shorter episodes and then repurposing my content in a really tangible and significant way. So what I'm really going to be leaning into are those quick, high impact solo episodes that are less pressure, more presence, more connecting. And also one thing that I did a lot in the podcast. So I guess what happened was I had guest co-hosts on this podcast before. So every single month I would bring on a guest co-host and together we would talk about one topic in specific and we would go back and forth. then what I was hearing from my audience was that you wanted more solo episodes. You know what I did? I just changed the whole podcast into a solo podcast, which was fantastic. Okay. But what was happening was I wasn't overly comfortable doing solo episodes, just me, that I relied heavily on a script. And I wanted to make sure that I had it right. I wanted to make sure that I was sharing the information in the most accurate way possible. But I think that makes the show sound not disingenuous, but people could, and people have told me that they could tell when I was reading a script versus when I was just riffing off the cuff, which I am right now, just riffing off the cuff and not reading off of a script. Now, I have talking points that I like to prep so that I know where I want my thoughts to go. But for the most part, I'm just talking. And this is how I do my Happiness Happens podcast. And this is how I built such a significant, really cool audience over there. So one thing that I've done is ditching the scripts. And you know what? It feels scary, but honestly, just try it. And you don't need to have the script there as a crutch necessarily, because you know your content, you know what you're sharing, and you're knowing what you're talking about. And honestly, I hear all the time from people like, oh, you know, what if I forget what I wanted to say, or what if I miss something? And honestly, there's so much information that you can share about different topics that even if you do miss saying something, people likely won't really notice. And honestly, in my opinion, I think that that is totally okay. So what I'm doing is dropping the script, doing quick, high impact solo episodes that are way less pressure to bring the joy back into creating my content. And so now each episode is going to fuel my content system, which is what I was doing before, but now it's going to be way easier to do this. I actually dropped the frequency of my podcast to bi-weekly, and on the off week have a blog going out instead. So just shifting my content a little bit in the way I repurpose it just a little bit. Now I'm going to make sure that every single episode is supported by reels, emails, carousels, stories, LinkedIn posts, you name it. And it's all going to pull from one space, one place. And this is because I really am a huge fan of working once and doing the thing once and showing up everywhere. That's the energy that I want to bring into this new phase of the podcast. So I'm excited for that. And the last thing that I'm doing this summer is streamlining my podcast using Northflow, because my brain deserves and needs a break. And because I have so many moving parts on a day-to-day basis, giving myself that space to just be and to just breathe and to just know that systems and processes are working in the way that they're supposed to is really, really, really important for me. No more Post-its flying everywhere, no 47 tabs open at any given time. What I'm doing is using Northflow to plan my podcast episodes, to track the progress in how it's being completed, to manage every single part of my workflow in one place. And I truly think that you should try this as well, because new episodes are all mapped out. My workflow is there. Everyone on my team is assigned their tasks. All the tasks are delegated, and the chaos is finally calm. That is the type of energy that I'm bringing into my show, and I'm so excited for it. I highly recommend that you check out Northflow as well. The link is in the episode notes below, and you can get your account for free right now in this current moment. And if you're listening to this at a later date, you can also opt in and you can still request your account and you get a free trial as well. It's kind of like giving my podcast a project manager that doesn't have to be me and giving myself some peace in the process. So, there's a lot of different things that we can do in the summertime when it comes to creating content. We don't have to show up at all, right? We can be offline. We can give ourselves a break. We can be present with family, but then also we can have systems and processes that allow us to have all of those same things without feeling like we're online 24/7. And so with this shift, I'm really looking forward to being consistent in my space, to educate you and to give you the tips and tricks and learnings that you, I know, want and need to grow your show and just to show up more consistently and more significantly. So let me know if you have any questions about this. Send me a message on Instagram with your thoughts, because I would absolutely love to know what you're doing this summer when it comes to your show. So happy creating. Thank you for being here. And I will see you next episode of As It Relates to Podcasting. Bye for now.